It was winter in New York, and I was lying on a bed I could barely afford, in a room so cold I could see my own breath rising in the dark above me. And I had made up my mind that night that I would not sleep in that room at all. I would sleep in my father's house in Barbados. I want you to understand what I am telling you. I did not decide to imagine Barbados. I did not decide to picture the way a man flips through photographs to comfort himself. I decided to sleep there, to lay my head down in New York and rise, in feeling, in the warm house of my father, with the sound of the island in my ears and the heat of that place on my skin. And I did it because a man named Abdullah had shut a door in my face and refused to let me be anywhere else. Sleep is the door through which the conscious mind passes to be joined to the subconscious. I wrote that. I meant it exactly as it stands. Every night you lie down, and every night you pass through that door, carrying something. And whatever you carry through it, you hand to the deeper mind as the true and final report of your day. You do not hand it your affirmations. You do not hand it your good intentions from the afternoon. You hand it the feeling you are wearing in the last minute. And that alone is what it takes to be real. So before I teach you anything, before I tell you the story or the law or the practice, I am going to tell you what you have been doing, because I can see you. I know why you are here, at this hour, listening to a man who has been dead to the newspapers for decades, but who is speaking to you now as though he were sitting on the edge of your bed. You are here because something has not moved. You have wanted and waited, and the waiting has worn a groove in you. And here is the thing you have not seen. You have been falling asleep every night, rehearsing the very thing you say you do not want. You lie down, and the day comes back to you. The argument that went wrong, the bill you cannot cover, the look on someone's face, the call that never came. And you run it. You run it again. You lie there in the dark, and you rehearse your disappointment until it is smooth and familiar. And then, still wearing it, you cross through the door into sleep, and you hand your subconscious that mood as the last true word of the day. And the subconscious, which does not argue, which does not weigh what is likely, takes the mood you gave it and sets about making more of it. I am not scolding you. Hear me. Your frustration is not weakness. It is the surest sign that the desire in you is real, because a dead desire does not ache. You have visualized, you have affirmed, you have done your work in the daylight, and then, in the last minute, in the drowsy dark, you have quietly undone all of it. It was never your circumstance that held you. It was never the money, or the person, or the timing. It was the room you were sleeping in. It was the mood you carried across the threshold. Never go to sleep feeling discouraged or dissatisfied. Never sleep in the consciousness of failure. I said that in feeling is the secret. And I said it because I lived the opposite for years and paid for it in years. Now let me take you back to that cold room, and let me tell you how I came to know this. I was a young man, and I was broke in the way only New York in the Depression could make a man broke. And I ached to go home. It was near Christmas, and I wanted to be in Barbados, in my father's house, among my own people, and I had no money to get there, and no prospect of getting any. So I went to my teacher. I went to Abdullah, the black man, the Ethiopian, who had forgotten more of this law than most men will ever touch, and who taught me the principles of consciousness in a way that undid everything I thought I knew. I told him, "Ab, I want to go to Barbados. I want to spend the winter at home." And he looked at me and he said, "You are in Barbados." I said, "Abdullah, I am not in Barbados. I am in New York, standing here in front of you, and I have no money." He would not argue with me. That was his genius, and it was, at the time, my torment. He would not descend to the level of the facts. He simply said again that I was in Barbados, and when I kept protesting, kept dragging out the evidence of my senses, the empty wallet, the cold, the impossibility of it, he turned his back on me, walked into the next room, and shut the door. He left me standing there with nothing, no sympathy, no plan, no discussion of how it might come about. He left me alone with one single option: to accept the state as real or to keep being right about my poverty. Do you see what he did? He took away the one thing I most wanted to do, which was to consult my senses. He forbade it. He forced me to make a choice between the world my eyes reported and the world he insisted I already occupied, and so I began to do the only thing left to do. Each night I went to bed in New York, and each night I refused to sleep there. I assumed that I was in Barbados. I felt the bed of my father's house beneath me. I heard the particular sounds of that island at night, the ones you never forget if you were raised in them. I felt the warmth on my skin instead of the cold of that miserable room. I did not strain for it. I did not fight to hold a picture. I simply slept in the assumption that I was already home, night after night, and let the feeling be the last thing I knew before I lost consciousness. Weeks passed, and then, entirely unexpectedly, in a manner I could not have arranged and did not try to arrange, passage came. A way opened that had not been there before, and I sailed home to Barbados, exactly as Abdullah had insisted I already had. That is the whole of it. That is the law standing naked in front of you. Now let me tell you precisely what happened, because I do not want you to hear a nice story and miss the mechanism. In the last minute before sleep, there is a state. I have called it the state akin to sleep. The drowsy, sleepy state. That heavy and delicious moment when you are not yet asleep but no longer fully awake. In that state, the conscious mind grows quiet. Its guard comes down. Its endless arguing, its measuring of what is possible and what is not, goes still. And in that stillness, the subconscious lies open and receptive, like soil turned and waiting. The subconscious is the womb of creation, and whatever feeling you carry into that open, drowsy state is taken in and accepted as fact, and in time objectified, made visible, hardened into the very world you walk through by day. Whatever the conscious mind believes, the subconscious mind will bring to pass, not what it wishes, not what it hopes, what it accepts as already so. The subconscious does not argue with you the way Abdullah refused to argue with me. It does not say, "But you have no money, but it is winter, but this is impossible." It simply receives the impression given to it in that receptive state, and it goes to work to make it so. That is why the last minute matters more than the whole day that came before it. Now, before I go 1 inch further, I am going to ask you to do one thing, and I want you to do it this second, while your attention is still sharp and before the teaching pulls you back under and you forget. Comment one word below this video. One word. Rewrite. Nothing else. Not a sentence. Not an explanation. Just the single word. Rewrite in the comments beneath this video. That is all it takes. Comment it now, and when you do, I will personally reply to you with a link to a short, free guide I want in your hands tonight, before you sleep, not tomorrow, not someday. Understand me clearly. You are not doing me a favor by commenting. You are not helping the channel. You are claiming something that is already yours. A guide called Rewrite Tonight, and the word is the key that puts it in your hand. So comment, rewrite. Right now, before you drift on to the next thing, do it and then come back to me, because I am not finished with you. Here is why I ask. What you have learned so far is true, and it is powerful, but it is one movement of 4. There is a full sequence that unfolds in the last minutes before sleep, and most who practice this law practice only a fragment of it and then wonder why the feeling fades by morning. The first movement is revision, the clearing of the soil of the day. The second is the correction of your inner speech, that silent, ceaseless talking that instructs the subconscious long before your head touches the pillow. The third is the building of a single precise scene, not a vague, drifting picture, but one real scene, specific and detailed and felt. And the fourth is the falling asleep inside the state, the transfer itself, the moment consciousness actually crosses over, carrying the assumption intact. You have been doing one of these, perhaps 2, and you have wondered why the results came and then slipped away. They slipped because the sequence was never completed. The subconscious received a partial instruction, and a partial instruction produces a partial result. Clearing a field and never laying the foundation leaves you with cleared ground and no house upon it. Now hear how this connects to Abdullah. Before Abdullah taught me scenes, before he taught me affirmations, before any of the rest of it, he made me master one thing first: revision before sleep. The clearing. That was the beginning, because you cannot lay a clean impression over a day you are still bleeding from. I have written that exact practice out. Not a summary of this video, the actual practice, a short free guide I have called Rewrite Tonight. It is a complete 3-minute pre-sleep revision protocol. It shows you how to choose the 3 moments from your day that are quietly poisoning your sleep. It shows you how to rewrite each one so that your subconscious carries a clean record into the night instead of the wound. And it shows you how to feel the clearing, that particular release that finally lets every other technique reach the deeper mind, because the soil is finally turned and open. It is free. It is immediate. It is the step that everything else depends upon. It is the first link in the description below this video. Open it tonight, or comment the word rewrite, and I will send it to you myself. And for those of you who already feel it, who know in your bones that the clearing alone is not the whole of it, who are ready for the full transfer and not just the first movement, that exists too. The complete 4-part sequence, all 7 nights, in the exact order Abdullah gave it to me. You will see it waiting the moment you open the guide. You were, in a sense, already expecting it. But do not reach for that yet. Start with the clearing. Start tonight. So take the first link in the description and open the guide tonight, or comment the word rewrite, not as a comment, as a decision. You are done lying down at night carrying the weight of an unrevised day. You are done planting seeds in soil you never cleared. Comment, rewrite, or open the link and begin where I began. Now, let me give you what I promised. Let me give you the truths that make this work, and I do not want you to receive them as a list of rules. I want you to arrive at each one with me, the way I arrived at them myself, slowly and at some cost. The first is this: the day you had is not the day your subconscious keeps. The last version wins. You believe your bad day is a fact you must accept. It is not. It is raw material. It is unformed clay sitting in front of you, waiting to be shaped, and the great error is to treat the day your senses reported as the final sealed record. It is not sealed until you sleep, and the subconscious will record a revised scene just as faithfully as it records the original one. It has no preference for the truth of the senses. It will act on whichever version you carry into sleep. This is revision, and it was the first thing Abdullah drilled into me. If, during the day, someone spoke to you with contempt, you do not have to keep that scene. Before you sleep, you take it back into your mind, and you replay it, but you replay it corrected. You see the person speaking to you with warmth. You hear the words as they should have been. You feel yourself responding from dignity instead of injury, and you revise and continue to revise the imaginal act until it has the tone of reality, until the corrected version feels as solid and as lived as the original did. Then you sleep on that, and the subconscious, which cannot tell the difference and does not try to, records the clean version as your history. If the day has been one of internal conflict, revise it. Do not carry the conflict through the door, so stop replaying the day as it was. Before you sleep, take the worst scene, the one moment that is contaminating your rest, and rewrite it once, fully, until it is done, and then let it be done. The second truth is harder for the striving man to accept, and most of you listening are striving. It is this: feeling, not effort, is what crosses the threshold. You have been trying so hard, and I want to tell you gently that your trying is the leak in the vessel. Straining at bedtime is the very thing that keeps you conscious, keeps you awake, keeps the guarding, arguing mind on duty, and the subconscious cannot receive while that mind stands guard. The impression is taken only in the relaxed, drowsy, yielding state. Tension bars the door. Effort locks it. Look again at Barbados. I did not lie in that cold bed and strain toward the island. I did not grip a picture with white knuckles and demand that the universe deliver it. I relaxed into the feeling of already being home. I let the warmth and the sounds and the safety of my father's house wrap around me, and I let sleep take me while I was wearing that feeling. The feeling did the work, not the effort. The effort would have kept me awake and empty in New York. Feeling is the secret. It is not the mere idle wish, but the assumed feeling that is impressed upon the subconscious. So stop the effortful visualizing at night. Stop wrestling with the image. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Relax your whole body into it and drift. Let the last thing you know be the feeling, not the striving. And the third truth, the one that will sting a little because it takes back the excuse. The mood you sleep in is the instruction you gave. You resent the delay. You call it the law failing you, or life being unfair, or the desire being too large. But the delay you resent is not the law failing. It is the law working perfectly, faithfully returning to you, in the outer world, the exact mood you keep carrying to bed. Your inner conversations are perpetually written into the fabric of your world. Man attracts what he is. If you go to bed, night after night, in quiet despair, the law does not punish you, and it does not ignore you. It serves you precisely by giving you more of the condition you kept feeling as you crossed over. I know this because I lived it. Before Abdullah broke the habit in me, I slept for years in the consciousness of failure. I lay down defeated, and I rose defeated, and I called my defeat reality, and thought I was simply being honest about my life. I was not being honest. I was instructing Every despairing night was a command, and the world obeyed it. The dominant of two ideas determines the future. Whatever you desire to be, that you are, and this you will confirm and attest by your behavior. So stop letting worry be your last thought of the day. That is the single change. Make the last thing you feel a gratitude, as though the thing were already done. The quiet, settled thankfulness of a man for whom it has already come to pass. That mood is your instruction. Give the law a better one. Now let me tell you exactly what to do tonight, and I am going to keep it to one thing, done deeply, because one thing done deeply will serve you far more than 5 things done in a scatter. Tonight, as you grow drowsy, not before, but as the drowsiness comes and the body grows heavy, choose one short phrase that implies your wish is already fulfilled. Not a phrase that begs for it, a phrase that assumes it is already so. Isn't it wonderful? Thank you, said as a man says it when the gift is already in his hands. Do not build a whole world. Do not construct an elaborate scene tonight. Take one single sentence that assumes the end is already yours and repeat it gently, over and over, as a lullaby, soft, unhurried, without effort, until it is the last thing on your lips and in your feeling as you cross into sleep. Reduce the whole of your desire to that one implied sensation and lull yourself to sleep in it. Let it carry you through the door. That is the practice. That is enough for tonight. And I will remind you, this is one movement. It is the falling asleep in the state, and it is real, and it will work. But the full clearing that makes it land clean, the revision that turns the soil so this seed can reach the deep mind, is written out for you in Rewrite Tonight, the first link below. Begin there, and this lullaby falls on cleared ground. Now let me say something to you before I go, and I want you to hold on to it, because you are going to need it in the weeks ahead. That silence you have been calling a delay, that stretch of nothing between when you assumed and when it appeared, that is not the law failing you. That is the law already at work. It is the interval. It is the space between the assumption and its objectification, the invisible bridge being built beneath your feet while your senses report an empty road. Nothing is missing. Nothing has gone wrong. You have simply been sleeping in the wrong room. You have been lying down in New York, night after night, when the whole time the door stood open to Barbados. Tonight, sleep in Barbados. And hear this, because I am saying it to you. At this exact hour, in the state you are in right now, one night soon, sooner than your senses will let you believe, you will realize that you are no longer trying to reach the state. You will realize you are simply living in it. It will have become the room you sleep in without effort, the mood you wear without deciding to, and you will look back on this very minute, this night, this decision, as the night you stopped waking in the old world. You will return to these words and you will know they were already true when I spoke them. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and continue in that assumption, and in a way you know not of, by a means you could never have devised, it will come to pass. And there is a layer beneath everything we did tonight, the silent talking that runs in you all day long, that instructs the subconscious long before your head ever touches the pillow, so that the last minute before sleep does its work by itself, effortlessly, because the whole day already prepared the soil. Master all that, and this practice becomes automatic. That is where we go next.